Awesome, thank you. All right, so my name is Melly Avery. I am not a botanist, but I somehow ended up as the chairperson for the restoration committee. How about that? So I'm here to walk you through some of the updates for the season, the 2025 planting season. So here we go without further ado. Uh, Okay, and we do have some events coming up on the calendar, not through CoNPS, but some regional restoration societies. So the Native Seed Conference, I'll be attending that in Tucson. If anyone else wants to carpool or go with me, let me know. And of course, the SCR World Conference will be in Denver this year, and CoNPS will be helping and doing some seed collections. Um, Around that same time as well as event opportunities. So those are links for that. And as I mentioned before in the chat, there's a link to all of these slides. If you want to be able to click them for yourself, you can go ahead and do that. And so 2025, we are in a new reality. The Forest Service has cut all of their funding or has no funding for seasonal positions except for fire prevention crews. CNHP's crews have been cut in half for next year. And so volunteer efforts are going to be super important and vital for continuing this work of collecting valuable seed on the landscape. And one of the reasons I asked Curtis to come is to kind of provide some context for that and maybe talk me off the ledge a little bit in terms of how the season is going to play out. But Curtis, do you have any added comments on how it's going to be different 2025?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's kind of a weird echo. Okay. So, yeah, we're gonna have, last year we had 2 full-time crews collecting seeds from CNHP, and this year we're gonna only have one crew able to do that. We're not sure if we're gonna have the funding to hire one additional person to myself or if we're gonna have two. So that'll be a change. And then so like you said, Melly, we will be relying more heavily on partnerships. We're trying to make things more easy to collaborate this year. So for example, last year we had for the data collection, we had survey 123 forms and then an additional app that we use to collect polygons. But this year, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to do everything within the survey 123 form, so it'll be a little bit easier to collaborate that way. And then I think we're going to have CoNPS lead more collections independently of CNHP. So I still think we'll do some where CNHP and CoNPS will be together collecting, and we'll definitely need to do some of that early in the season to get everyone trained up on data collection methods. But then later in the season, we should be able to do, or we'll hopefully be able to have CoNPS perform more seed collection without any CNHP staff present.
That's right. Yeah, it's a new landscape that we're operating in, and because of everything going on, it's going to be a really good opportunity to make a big final push to collect some seeds while we have funding available. So thank you, Curtis. And because we had a list. Okay, so this last year, this was our prioritized collection list, 32 plants. We've cut that significantly. This is not a final revision of the collection list. So if you've already been making observation contributions to the iNaturalist project, you might see some of your observations being removed because we've removed so many species, such as, fireweed. We have plenty, thanks to last year. We're going to focus on fewer species, make it easier for everybody, to not try and learn 30 plus species. Instead, it'll be like under 20. And there will still be some more opportunistic species, but we're still having meetings on the back end to determine which of those to keep. But yeah, a lot shorter list, more manageable moving forward, which is good. And this month, we are going to be talking about side oats grama as our target species, and we're going to do some co-working time at the end of the meeting so that people can kind of study up and learn how to make these observations, either from their own iNaturalist observations or from other people. And all of these links have great resources of information. I really like the Navajo rangeland plant profiles because they'll often have a recording of how to say it in the DNA language. Just really interesting information. It's one of the most important rangeland grass species. It's one of the most nutritious forage grasses for wildlife. It's eaten by elk, livestock, even turkey, and it remains nutritious into the winter. It is somewhat tolerant of fire. And yeah, so we're going to focus on trying to collect as much of this as possible. We did one collection of this that CoNPS did in the Comanche grasslands, and a lot of it was empty or because of the drought this past year. So we're going to re-up our efforts. And it's an extremely easy grass to keep.
Hey,
Very
Melly,
few. Yes.
I'm sorry to be annoying,
Yeah.
but
No, go ahead.
Anne Marie's here, and I thought she might
Yes.
introduce herself.
Absolutely. Yes. Anne Marie.
Yeah, hi everybody. Sorry to be late. It's a multitasking Friday. Anne Marie Fusel, and I work with Wildlands Restoration Volunteers, and I'm the Plants and Pollinators Project Coordinator. So I basically just collect native seeds and try to grow and promote the use of native plants in landscapes. So some native plantings, some growing, some collections. And I love collecting side oats grama. And so far, so do our volunteers. So it's a nice plant. Sorry to be late, everybody.
If you haven't attended, seed collection, do yourself a favor. It's a great time. They're really excellent and organized with their volunteers, and we strive to be even half as good as they are in their seed collecting volunteer events.
Thanks, Melly.
So thank you. I'm really glad that you're here. So yeah, today we're talking about our species of the month. We try to feature and train up on what to look for in the iNaturalist observations for like one specific species. This exists in lots of different landscapes within the state. So we, CoNPS has 7 chapters. Hopefully it is broad enough that it can be collected in each of them, but time will tell. And of course, these are all available in the slides that I've sent you if you want them for future reference. And yeah, there's just very few other grasses that even look close to this. However, with that said, when we did the collection, I did have a few bags that came back with non-target species in them. So when leading volunteers, non-botanists, it's important to have people carry around a sample stock with themselves so that they can have a reference right there in their hand, so that they don't collect something unrelated. Okay, and now to the co-working time. We have collected a list of different special like places of interest maps, links that you can click out onto for your specific chapter. So if you're on the northern, you might pick, I guess it would be Pawnee. No, that's not quite right. My geography is not what it should be, but you know what I mean. Like pick a spot that's close to where you are.
Well, Northern
Um,
chapter is Pawnee, I will just say.
is Pawnee?
And
Okay, that's great.
also Roosevelt, Arapahoe
Awesome.
Roosevelt.
Awesome.
And I'll try to
and
put that in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, all of the slides are linked to in the chat and as view only. So you should be able to access that and click on those links. I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through how to do one of these searches. I did a little practice to make sure that it would actually work. So if you're in the Boulder Ranger District and you're looking for Bouteloua curtipendula, you would click on that link and this is what you will see, right? Each of the different places of interest has kind of a different setup. Some of them have pre-existing species lists that you can search from. Boulder does not. So what you do in that situation is you scroll to the bottom of that page and it will say view more observations from this place. And then you will be able to go and it will give you like more of a traditional search option. Otherwise, it's just going to look like this and you won't really see, okay, so where do I search? So that's how you find it, is at the bottom of that intro page. And as you can see, there are 2 observations of Bouteloua curtipendula in the Boulder Ranger District. I went to, let's make sure. Okay, I'm gonna exit out of here. And you can see the iNaturalist observation page now. Correct? Okay, great. So this is one of the 2 observations. I like to use another app called Onyx Maps to find the specific location to determine land ownership. So it says that it's in the national forest. However, that can be a little dicey in terms of the land ownership. And so this is where it is. And you see it's got this patchwork land ownership all across. And it's Roosevelt is right all around it. However, this observation was found right here. So this is not going to be a place where we could collect. However, this is where I would come and find like a trailhead and scout out to see if it would be an appropriate collection place for volunteers to come. And maybe it is, we'll see. So coming back to the observation page, I have added it to the project here. You can see that. And I've made a little note for myself that the observer will receive, but I said note to self, patchwork land ownership, scout for a Northern chapter event, because it is kind of in that neighborhood, or Northern because Lyons, Longmont, Allen Spark are nearby. This could be a good collection location. The other
Hold on, Millie.
observation. Yeah, go ahead.
Millie.
Yes.
So when you write that comment, like everyone in the world can see it.
Yes, that's right.
So I think you should write in code.
Okay. I could write it, in some other note-taking.
Well, I think the
manner.
note-taking is good, but can you scroll down again? Because this is not your observation, right? So
That's correct. Yeah.
just so that comment, I would say something like NC for Northern chapter, and maybe it's just the word patchwork or something like that.
Yeah.
Just so that, because we can't just have people going out and people might ask us what this is all about. So we could write comments that are like, join us in the Rocky Mountain Native Plant Materials program. But we
Mhm.
absolutely do not want people going out there and figuring out that we're trying to collect seeds and all of that,
Okay.
collecting
Well,
them
that's a very
themselves.
valid point.
We are
Yeah,
not
no, that's a
allowed,
good point.
and of all the people here, just so you know, we have no personal collection permits. Like we go out, we collect seed, 100% of it we give over to CNHP, and it goes over for seed increase in Coeur d'Alene. And then when the seeds come back, we still don't get any of them. They go into storage for restoration projects on the forests throughout Region 2. So that like is if we collect seed for like the hort environment, like we have specific land permissions, right? It's on private land or we're working with the city or an open space, and those things are all worked out, right? But just want to make it really clear. We cannot go out and do this by ourselves. No one should just go out and collect seeds. See some people shaking their heads, but sorry to be strict about the comments.
No,
And
it's very valid, and like we do have a contract that stipulates like it's not for personal use. It's yeah, and there's reasons for that. Um, but yeah, and so another thing I wanted to update people about before we get into co-working time is we have a species guide that we're developing for people to have out in the field. And I just kind of want to give a little preview of what that will look like. It's going to have all the species and some basic information, species profiles, maps, occurrence maps, seasonality, soil type, this kind of thing, because the slide deck that we were developing was a bit ungainly and not very user friendly. So having something that is smaller than Acrefield, just to have out for our target species, will be helpful for volunteers. And there was a question that we had last session about bulk adding your observations. And I have not really found a really good way of bulk loading. However, there is a way to bulk search your own observations. I believe it was Robert who had asked this question, so I'm going to make sure to reach out to him if he's not here. And you can, okay, let's see, let's walk you in right from your profile. You would just click on your own observations. I have it here that these are for his observations. And if we want to narrow it down to just one genus, such as the penstemons, you can do that, and it will automatically filter to just his observations. And you can go through, it's most helpful to do it with the map view, because then you can say, okay, this is probably on national forest lands. Whipple's penstemon is a valued species for this project. So we can have a look here. And I would probably go and do that same thing that I did with onyx, but not everybody has that. So don't worry about not having that. You have an observation, it's the species, it's on the national forest, let us know. Doesn't have to be drilled down as refinedly as I process that I do. So I've already added it to the seed scouting project, or maybe he did in the past, but yeah, this is not bulk adding. This is bulk searching for a genus or a species and then adding them one by one, which is not as efficient as we would like. There are bulk adding functions within iNaturalist, but I found them to be a bit clunky and not super user friendly. So that's what I've found. If other people are able to find a more efficient method for bulk adding observations, please let us know. But yeah, I just wanted to follow up and do a little demo on that prior to we broke out into our little work groups. So at this time, we will have a little rep, and if people want to screen share while they're searching, just to have another pair of eyes on it, or if they have questions unrelated to the iNaturalist project, or they want another explanation, or maybe you have an idea of because we're really amping up the volunteers this year. Maybe you know of a campsite like in your chapter area that is got tons of Bouteloua curtipendula or one of the items on the list. You can put that in the chat. You can pipe up, let us know. And with that, I think we'll try and do some breakout. This is the first time we've kind of done some co-working time, so it might be a little bit awkward, but it's an experiment to try and beef up our observation collections of Bouteloua curtipendula, and I will show you once again the seed scouting projects that we have. And we have a few observations of Bouteloua curtipendula, but we would like so many more to help us get as much of this seed as possible. So with that, I will can it and let people do their own thing.
Well, and
ask
also,
questions.
does everyone understand what's going on? Do you need any clarification?
I'd love clarification. I think I might have missed something because I was late.
Oh, okay, sure. So last month we introduced the concept of this iNaturalist project, which is to help seed scouting efforts for the U.S. the Forest Service contract that we have. Here we go. So last year our crews drove so many miles to find seed, and part of the reason that we're doing this is to help cut down on all that driving time. We have a list of now 12, probably more target species. This list is not completely current. I did remove anything that we're sure that we won't be collecting. But you can upload your own observations that you've made, or you can go through community observations, and provided that they are on the national forest or national grassland. It's helpful if it's near a road or trailhead and is a suitably large population. So not all of these observations will meet that criteria, but it's better than going off of no information at all. And just kind of driving, looking for stuff. We do have observation reports through SciNet and other things that are loaded into like our resources. But this is just another way of helping to think of places to go. So, and scout.
And so, Melly, right now do you want us to look at our own observations or follow the geography? Like,
You can do either, honestly. It's, when I listed the different locations, that was just kind of a nice starting point. But if you already have places or observations that you have from your own collections that you want to add, you can do that. Yeah, it's kind of we would just kind of ask that you can also do any species on the list that you want, but I would really like for people to add the Bouteloua curtipendula and kind of focus on that species. So.
And now, folks, does everyone have an iNaturalist account in this meeting? Yeah, so we could just start there and just look in your own observations. Have you ever taken an observation of curtipendula? Tell us if you have.
Yes. And
And
also, if you
I'll look
haven't,
myself, because my problem is mine are not in the project, right? So I need to sit and do the work to like add my observations to the project. And that would be one way that we could start. But if you haven't ever observed it, right, like Melly was saying, like you can think about it in terms of where you want to go this next summer, or just ask for all of Colorado. It's easy to do a search and limit it in certain ways. And um, oh, can I share my screen for a sec, Mel?
oh, of course, yeah.
All right. Hold on one sec. Oh, I didn't get totally logged in yet. That was a bit premature. Oh. Let's see. And you guys, if you feel comfortable, like be working to log in to your iNet account, which is what I'm doing right now. Thought I'm usually always logged in, but for some reason I wasn't.
So, Melly and Maggie, quick question. There's occasionally like private land where I am, like larger ranches, um, that actually have some of these species. What I guess what are the restrictions for you? I mean, because if there's an incredible population, of Sido's grandma on a private ranch, north of Fort Collins, it's right off the side of the road, is that like valuable for collection, or does it need to be restricted to Forest Service land if the permission is fine to collect on this land and give it to these efforts?
Yeah, I believe it has to be on national forest or national grasslands
Okay.
for the contract. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, folks. So see, I logged in, right? And I clicked your observations. That's me. And I typed in Bouteloua. And then there's this gray box on the right after the go. And you can limit to only research grade or verifiable. Or if it's just you, right, you could just leave it open. And then make sure your name is in here. And reducing to flora when you just already have a species name in there is probably not too important, but something to limit the search in other ways. And then you can say Colorado, you can say Pike National Forest. You can usually say all sorts of interesting things. That didn't work, surprisingly.
Yeah, Pike is not a selected location on there yet.
Oh, that's interesting. So if we're in Gunnison, right? Gunnison Basin, Gunnison County, Upper. So like you can make these choices, right? And just play around with it while I'm blabbering on. And then when I update the search, I've made 18 observations of Bouteloua curtipendula, and I haven't put any of them in the project. So that's what I'll work on doing right now when I stop sharing my screen. So maybe that helps a little bit. See if you could get here on your own account. And then I like to do a control click and open all of the observations in different tabs all at once, because sometimes I lose my place, right? It'll like, if you press the right button, the right arrow or the left arrow, it'll just send you to your next observation, but it's not going to be Bouteloua curtipendula. So I'm going to go control click, control click, control click, open all of them in my different tabs. Then I know I'm not going to miss any. And you can see the names already, right? And of where they are, generally speaking, where I spend my time. And then once I get in there, I'll edit that observation to add it to the project. And a lot of people don't realize how much you can do in iNet at home, but tons. And it's a great way to manage your data. So let's see, I'll go here and I gotta find the project. I haven't even done this yet, Molly.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop sharing, but I'll make sure I'm in the project and pull it in.
So if you haven't joined yet, you just click on that link. And if you haven't joined, this will be an option and you just click on that. And then when you go looking at an observation, it will, yeah, there's a little place where you can select, add to your, add to the project. And you can also do this. So these are all the old slides from last month, but when you're in the field and you're doing this and you're making a brand new observation, then you would add it right here. So yeah, lots of different ways to skin this cat. I'm going to let people work independently. If they want to stay on the meeting and do that, that's fantastic. Love to hear it. Love to hear any questions that people have. But I'm gonna kind of stay focused on working on this myself. And you can watch along, or I can stop sharing. I'll probably stop sharing. How about that? So, all right.
Is there anything you don't want in an observation? Like, I don't know, aside from land ownership? Like, is there anything that would exclude it?
If you know that it's, smut, or if it has insect damage or anything like that, but that's usually not discernible from existing observations. So yeah, as long as it's, on national forest or national grasslands, it's a suitably sized population. So at least 50 plants, preferably many more, near a road or trailhead. Those are kind of the main criteria. And then we'll work out on the, after we get all these observations, we'll fine tune like where we want to actually go. So
if you are just looking at existing observations, I haven't made any yet. I'm new to iNaturalist, but like if I found one, it doesn't really have any information like about, how many or.
Oh, sure.
Would you just want that in the project anyway?
Yeah, you can just let us know about it. Grasses like this, they tend to form, kind of colonies, right? So, but they'll be dispersed on the landscape, right? Thank you. So yeah, if you don't have that information, you can still add it. You can still add that observation.